Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihim bi ihsan ila yawm ad-din. Amma ba'd. So welcome to this special course on the one of the most neglected subjects really to be taught, which is the Ahl Al Bayt. And this work by Sheikh Yusuf Al-Nabahani is a summarization of another work by Imam Suyuti. He did a small work on the Ahl Al Bayt as well, and this is really just a summarization of that work. So this is our sort of second translation of something for the Ahl Al Bayt. The first one is the Endless Nobility of Ahl Al Bayt, which is his Sheikh Yusuf Al-Nabahani's own book, and that's probably one of the best Sunni resources that you'll find about the Ahl Al Bayt. So, just before we start, who are we talking about when we're talking about the Ahl Al Bayt? So, who we're talking about is the offspring of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there's slight difference of opinion on who they are. Within the Hanafis, you've got 5 families basically. You've got the families of Ali ibn Abi Talib, Jafar, Sayyad, Aqil, son of Abu Talib, Ibn Abbas, and Harith, son of Abdul Muttalib. So that's in terms of Hanafis. In terms of the others, they have either the sons of Hashim or the sons of Abdul Muttalib. And so then they're considered Ahl Al Bayt. The word Ahl means generally if you have like a tent, you'd have everyone in that tent. That would be considered to be Ahl. And Bayt means a house. So literally it means the family of the house. But what we're talking about the family of the Prophet ﷺ. So we're not just talking about any family or anything like that. Something someone's born with. So their father has to be Ahl Al Bayt for them to be Ahl Al Bayt. If, for example, there's a woman who's Ahl Al Bayt and she's married to someone who's not Ahl Al Bayt, the lineage, the mum's lineage just stay with the kids for one generation, and then that's it, and then the rest of it goes back to the other father's generation. So technically, it sort of gets cut off, if you will. So it has to be someone whose lineage has come from his father has to be Ahl Al Bayt. It's not something that you can aspire to. Someone can't aspire to be Ahl Al Bayt. Either you're born with it or you're not. There's a report of Salman al-Farisi radiyallahu anhu, where the Prophet ﷺ says, Salman minna Ahl Al Bayt. And this was because this is at Khandaq, the trench, and what was happening was the Ansar was claiming to that the Salman was from them, and the Muhajirin, which is the Ansar are the people who were in Medina, they were claiming that Salman was from them, and then the Muhajirin were the people who come from Mecca, and they were saying that Salman's from us. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Salman is from us, Ahl Al Bayt. And that's because a freed servant is from their family. So that was really just an exception to the general rule about Ahl Al Bayt. Yeah.
Just clarify, you said that, so if the mother's Ahl Al Bayt and the father isn't,
yeah.
So the offspring of them will be Ahl Al Bayt, but only that one generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then their children won't be Ahl Al Bayt unless they marry Ahl Al Bayt.
Yeah. Yeah. Just generally about marrying Ahl Al Bayt, it's not something. I mean, the reason why I'm going to say it's not something that people should do is because there's a lot of people now who are not bothered about these things, and they're marrying outside Ahl Al Bayt. And the problem with this, even with men, is the lineage is getting cut, and it's one of the things that we need to preserve Rasulullah's lineage, and that's something that we have to do. And if we're not doing that, it's a bit of a crime for us. So we need to keep Ahl Al Bayt married to Ahl Al Bayt. So it's a bit of a problem, really, particularly with a lot of people who don't understand what a lot of them will just, they won't understand that they have responsibility, and Ahl Al Bayt has a more greater responsibility than the average Muslim for other Muslims, because people look to the Sayyids to look to them to be the example for them, and unfortunately, I'm speaking for myself, we're not sometimes a good example for people to follow, really. So that's a problem, really, in this time. But generally, it's up to the wali. If the wali decides, if it's okay with the wali. But even then, it's a bit of a problem, because then if you upset a member of the Ahl Al Bayt for no reason, then obviously that will get back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's not going to be. He'll be upset about that as well. I mean, that's the same for any general believer anyway. So if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't like believers to be, Muslims to be fighting amongst each other and things like this. So this is an important point as well. So just generally, just about Sheikh Yusuf Al-Nabahani, he was one of the sort of last century famous scholars of the last century, and he was in that sort of the heartlands of the Arabs in Egypt and these places, and he was really propagating Sunni Islam how it should be, and he was really just explaining a lot of things, and he wrote loads of excellent works, and some of them are coming out now, and you can benefit from those, inshallah. And it really is an excellent scholar, mashallah, and I mean, personally, I benefit a lot from his works, and obviously many people are. So we just about covered on the first page. Let's go to the second page. So we'll just go to this as the translation begins. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. So in the name of Allah, the most merciful, most compassionate, all praise belongs to Allah, Lord of the universe. Peace and blessings be upon our Master, our Master Muhammad, Master of the Messengers, upon his family and his companions, all of them. These are 40 hadith on the virtue of his Sallallahu family at the Ahl Al Bayt. These have been summarized from the 60 that were gathered by Al-Suyuti in his work Ahl Al Bayt bi Fadl Ahl Al Bayt, so reviving the deceased by the virtue of the Ahl Al Bayt, the virtue of their family prophet. After deleting the repetitions, its author was kept. There was no other with me except this book, except the book mentioned, and I had to at the conclusion mentioning some of the hadith about the virtues of his Sallallahu wives, the mothers of believers, and may Allah be pleased with all of them, his family and the companions, all of them. So we probably probably might not get time to do the ones about the wives. But we'll crack on with the hadith one. So Al-Mundari, Abu Hatim and Marodi in their Quranic commentaries, and Al-Tabrani and Kabir report that Ibn Abbas said, was asked after this verse, قل لا أسأل عليكم عليه أجر إلا مودة في القربى. I do not ask you for any recompense except to love my kinsfolk. And then they asked the Prophet ﷺ, O Messenger of Allah, who are your relatives for whom our love is incumbent? He said, Ali, Fatima wa ibnuhuma. Ali, Fatima and their offspring. So it could also mean Hassan and Hussein, obviously, but it could also mean their continuing offspring as well. And so this is a very interesting point, because in the Quran the prophets have generally said that I don't ask you for a reward, my reward's with Allah. So that's generally all the other prophets would have asked that, or they were told that to their communities. But Allah told the Prophet to tell this to his community, to tell them that the Prophet's not asking for them any reward, any recompense, nothing, for all the good we received from the Prophet ﷺ, which we still receive now, except just show kindness, love towards my kinsfolk. This is very relevant. It's very relevant. It's very important. So So Hadith 2, Abu Hatim reports Ibn Abbas said about the speech of the exalted man yaqad hasana. So whoever does a good action. So he said it means loving the family of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So good action is loving the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the ayah that's mentioned in the Ahl Al Bayt about the Ahl Al Bayt is also very important. Allah desires to purify you, O Ahl Al Bayt, completely. So what the ayah is referring to is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires to purify the Ahl Al Bayt. And then after this, it's whoever does a good action. So it's referring to the Ahl Al Bayt. So he's saying whoever does a good action to them, they're going to get extra reward for doing a good action. I mean, generally you do get rewards for, you know, doing good actions to the Muslims. It's one of the amazing things you can do, which is to make another Muslim happy. Obviously the halal thing. So Hadith 3. Imam Ahmad Tirmidhi and authenticated. Nasa'i Al-Hakim report from Al-Muttalib ibn Ra'id that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La yadkhul qalb imra'an Muslimin iman hatta yahbu lillahi wa lil qurbati." Faith has not entered the heart of a Muslim until he loves you, the companions, for the sake of Allah and my king's folk. So this is just about, you know, loving the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam again, and loving his Sahaba. And that is the way of Ahl Sunnah. We love the Sahaba and we love the Ahl Al Bayt. We don't distinguish between either. We don't say we love Ahl Al Bayt and then that's it, like the Shia do, and then we go against Sahaba. That's incorrect. Or we don't say we just love the Sahaba and we ignore the Ahl Al Bayt. That's kind of like the way of sort of modern day Wahhabis type. And now we say we love the Sahaba and we love the Ahl Al Bayt, and we have a balance. And we don't generally talk about the disagreements and things that happen between them. I mean, generally there is three opinions really about Ahl Al Bayt. Really, but you've got sort of two from the Wahhabis, which is one, they're nothing, and the other one, we're only okay with them if they're obedient. So if they're obedient, then they're okay with them. The Shia say, the Shia opinion is that they're like prophets, basically. The Sunni opinion is that we respect them, honour them. And that's really the way it should be. But a lot of people are taking the Shia, the other Wahhabi stance is this: if they're obedient, then we respect them, if you don't. But the thing is that Ahl Al Bayt has a link with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that other people don't have. That a person who's not Ahl Al Bayt won't have that link to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we respect Ahl Al Bayt, and if we see them doing something wrong, we try and advise them in a nice way, but we have to be a bit careful, that's all. So we don't go to extremes and things like this, because that's when the Shia, they went off on extremes, and that's how we really get misguided and things like that. So let's go to Hadith 4. So Muslim and Tirmidhi and Nasa'i report that Zayd ibn Arqam reports that the Messenger of Allah said, "Udhkur Allah fi Ahl Bayti." So fear Allah in the treatment of my house, of the family of my house. So if you say like Allah, like that, you're saying fear Allah in sort of Arabic terms. And so he's saying, remember Allah in the family of my house. So he's saying be careful. He's saying be careful. So this is it's a tough hadith really. Al-Tirmidhi rated Hasan. So it's obviously you get Sahih and then you get Hasan and then you get Da'if and you get different types of Da'if. So Hasan is the next one down. So and Hakim report that Zayd ibn Arqam who report that the Messenger of Allah said, "Any takum fikum ma in tamsaktum bihi lan tadulu ba'di kitab Allah wa atati Ahl Bayti wa lan yatafaraqa حتى يدا الحوض فانظر وكيف تخلفوني فيها. So I've left with you that if you cling to, one, you will not be misguided afterwards. The book of Allah and my offspring, the family of my house, they do not separate until they return to my pool. And look how you oppose me in them. Look how you oppose me in them. So there's a few points in this hadith, which is other reports of this. It says Kitab Allah wa Sunnati, which is the book of Allah and my practice. But this is the other one, the other hadith as well. So this is something to bear in mind as well. But generally the one that the most people will report is the other one, which then they won't report this hadith. And the pool is on the Day of Judgment after everyone's been resurrected. They'll be taken to a sort of pool, and this pool comes from one of the rivers of paradise, probably Kauthar, and it's a large pool, and it'll be surrounded by beakers, and the beakers will be like the stars, as many as the stars of the heavens. And then what happens is when everyone gets resurrected, they all go to their prophet, and their prophet will be at this particular hold, a particular pool. And so inshallah the Prophet ﷺ will be at that one, and that will be the largest one, and then the Muslims will come there and then take a drink. And so the drink that they take there is they won't feel any thirst until they enter paradise, because there's going to be a long standing on the Day of Judgment. So am I going too fast? Or is that okay?
I'm just clarifying, you know the last part of that hadith is look at how you oppose me in there.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, it's just being be careful of opposing me in them. So be careful of what how you I mean, don't go against, if the Ahl Al Bayt is, if someone's trying to do something good, like for example, I know some charity event or something, and then someone's fighting him or something and arguing, oh yeah, you can't be here or whatever. That's not good. That type of thing. If he's doing something wrong and then you're saying, but he can't do something wrong like this, that's not really what's covered in the hadith really. It's just really not, be careful towards the treatment of them. Right. Hadith 6. Tirmidhi narrated Hasan that Tabrani reported Ibn Abbas Mr. Allah said, Hibbullah lima yakhlukum bihi min ni'mahi wa hubbuni Hibbullah azza wa jal wa hubbuni Ahl Al Bayti li hubbi. So love Allah by what He provides of His bounty. So really, this is one of the things about the spiritual path, which is the important thing, is to love Allah really, to fall in love with Allah for the things that He gives us. Just to be sat in the room just listening to this type of things when people are doing all kinds of crazy things at the moment, that's a blessing in itself. The blessing of health, and that some people when they're walking, they have each step is it's like a mountain for some people, because of their body pains and things like this, and then we're okay, we're walking up and down, running and whatever. So the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you can't really enumerate. And love me because of your love of Allah. So this is about obviously other people who claim to love Allah, other religions, and then they say, oh, we love Allah. But if you did really, you'd become Muslim because you'd love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then love the family of my house because of your love for me. So love the family of the Ahl Al Bayt because you love the Prophet. And that's it's a bit lost now really, but the subject of Ahl Al Bayt is massive really, and it's not a small subject. Let's crack on. So Al-Tabrani and Hakim report that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu narrate the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya Bani Abdul Muttalib, inni sa'altu lakum thalatha in yuthbita qulubakum wa an yu'allima jahilakum wa yahdi dallakum سألته أن يجعل جواد نجادة رحماء فلو أن الرجل صفان بين الركن والمقام فصلي وصام ثم مات وهو مبغض لأهل بيت محمد دخل النار. So the Prophet ﷺ said, O tribe of Abdul Muttalib, I asked Allah 3 things for you. So to make your hearts firm, to teach you unaware, to guide you astray. And I asked him to make you generous, noble and merciful. Even if there was a man who would be raised to a pillar and a position of prayer and fasting, then dies detesting the family of my house, he shall enter the fire. So this is, because I mean, even though the hadith might not be very strong, but the principle it really is there, which is that only really someone who really loves the Prophet can really respect their family. Because if they don't, then it's a sign of hypocrisy a little bit for someone to detest the family of the Prophet. Right, number 8. If you have any questions, just ask. I'm gonna go into.
You mentioned that the hadith, this hadith, is not very strong.
Yeah.
Of the other ones, apart from when it's stated Hassan, have they all been Sahih or Hassan?
I think even if some of them are stated, some of them haven't. But even if they're not, then all together, they all. It's quite strong, obviously, because it's mentioned in the Quran. Ahl Al Bayt mentioned in the Quran twice.
It's more. I mean, it sounds really awkward, but you know when you put things on social media and so forth, and you always get loads of people commenting.
Yeah.
That sounds like Sahih. That's a weak hadith, you know. So forth.
Yeah.
So I was asking for that kind of purpose.
Yeah. I mean,
because you're not going to post all 40 hadith.
No.
In one going.
I mean, it's just a principle. Sometimes you'll get a weak hadith, but the principle is strong. So even in that hadith, even though it might be a bit weak, the principle is strong, which is that if someone has, they've got some dislike for. I remember Ahl Al Bayt. It's not a good sign because you're disliking a bit of the Prophet. So that's why it's not a good thing to be doing. Okay, no worries. Al-Tabarani report that Ibn Abbas who said, بغض بني هاشم والأنصار كفر وبغض عرب نفاق. So this is a report that Ibn Abbas said. So it's following on a little bit from what the last one was. So detesting the tribe of Hashim, because this is where the Ahl Al Bayt originate from, and the helpers is ingratitude. Because the helpers, what we mean by helpers are the Ansar, who were the people of Medina, and the Aus and the Khazraj, how they were in those days. And those are the main people who helped the Prophet ﷺ get established in Medina. They did loads of work, and they backed the Prophet ﷺ, with everything they had. So disliking these type, the Ansar is something, and the tribe of Hashim is something very, it's ingratitude. And when we get the word kufr in hadith, like it's mentioned in one about prayer, that and it's commonly translated disbelief, but what it is that if someone doesn't pray, it's not disbelief, it's ingratitude. It's not disbelief, but it's commonly translated disbelief. It's only disbelief if someone says, for example, I don't need to pray, something like that. So if someone says that, for example, that could be considered a disbelief. But disbelief generally is on something that's completely, there's no possible other interpretation for what the person has just said, other than it could be disbelief. And if, for example, the word's got a million bad meanings, but there's only 2 or 3 maybe good meanings, we'll take the 2 or 3 meanings that potentially could make it into something else. Unfortunately, that's how a judge would rule it, because there was very few people who were actually killed for apostasy, which was leaving Islam. very few, historically. But unfortunately, it's the other way around now. There could be a million good meanings, and there might be one bad meaning, and someone will go, well, it's their bad meaning, and then he goes, well, I didn't mean that, and then it's a whole big argument, and handbags at 10 paces or something. And detesting the Arabs is hypocrisy. So, because obviously it's all come in Arab, everything's coming from, all the source of everything is Arabic. So, and detesting the Arabs, who, they were instrumental in bringing Islam forth, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew, that He was sending it, what He was doing when He was sending it to them, and then raised the greatest of the messengers from them.
So with that, but is that obviously still relevant to an extent today? But what I mean is, obviously there are certain actions that people are doing that are Arabs. That, for example, they destroy the house of Khadija radiallahu anha and so forth.
Yeah.
Do we then detest that action, or do we hold the type of people to account as well?
Well, unfortunately, the Saudis have destroyed just about, the things that, for centuries, the Sunni Muslims have held dear, and it's quite travesty of, certain things, because there's a movement in Christian movement who's trying to prove that the Prophet ﷺ wasn't a historical character. There wasn't any history, so they're saying, well, and then the Wahhabis are destroying everything that you could possibly find for the Prophet. So then they're actually helping this silly claim. And there's nothing wrong with, if they keep houses of like Nietzsche. There's like a Nietzsche, this house, and it's all preserved. Everything's as it was. People go there, visit, right? And that's just, philosopher, right? He's not very, obviously he had his opinions and whatever, but they kept that. They had that sense of history. And then now, the Saudis, unfortunately, they don't have a sense of history of anything except for maybe Ibn Saud, and I think they have their own museum of him where they've got his own stuff.
House.
Yeah. So how can you respect this man more than you can respect the Prophet and his family and the Sahaba and all these things that all these wonderful people did? How can that work? Because they have the thing in Saudi, they call the offspring of Ibn Wahab, they call them Ahl Al Sheikh. So the family of the Sheikh. So they respect these guys who are talking the family of the Sheikh, but the family of the Prophet, which is mentioned in the Quran, Ahl Al Bayt, oh no, we don't want anything to do with that. So it's absolutely crackpot if you think about it. So.
And I've heard this narration before, a similar one about detesting the Arabs, and it's very difficult because you've got.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean, but the Arabs, the Saudis, are not like the Arabs of the proper Arabs. The proper Arabs. When you meet a proper Arab and you sit with them, they're really lovely people. The Saudis, unfortunately they're off on their own missions. But the real proper Arabs, if you meet them, they're proper lovely people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of smoke around them, unfortunately now, and that's the real problem.
But also mean in terms of language, somebody who knows the language, but is not Arab by blood.
There is that hadith, what is it? من نطق بالعربية فهو عرب. So whoever can speak Arabic, the hadith in Tabrani, Prophet said, whoever can speak Arabic is an Arab. So that's also considered, and so everything, all the sources, the original sources, are from Arabic. Well, that's not to say that we have great books in like Urdu and Turkish and Persian and Malay and things like that, So it's all, it's not just from one place. We've taken it from a lot of places, and that's how Islam was in the old days. We didn't used to say, well, it's just this. We used to, in the old days, You know, when the Muslim societies used to go to place and they're spreading the caliphate, we used to say, well, okay, you're gonna pay us the tax, but we're gonna protect you, and we protected like non-Muslim minorities. So that's why, you know, Jews survived with this. That's why the Christian denominations survived with this. Whether it's Persians, Zoroastrians, whatever religion we had, they were present there. We never forced them into Islam. It took centuries, you know, centuries, maybe 500 or 600 years of Muslim rule for them to actually accept Islam. It didn't happen just, you know, the first 100 years was more or less just spread of political power, if you will. And that political power didn't necessarily mean everyone was Muslim. It just meant that what happened was there was political power, and then the Sufis who were there, they would come, and people were inspired by these Sufis, and they would say all these early, you know, awliya, like Ibrahim ibn Adham, and all these guys, and all these you know, amazing characters. When the people saw them, then they would accept Islam, and it was slow. It took maybe 5 or 6 centuries. Even when the Crusaders came in, it wasn't a majority Muslim. It was still a significant, maybe 50% was still non-Muslim. So the things that what so and so is doing in thingy is complete opposite of what Islamic civilization was all about. Because what we would do, we would go somewhere, we'd take the best thing out of that civilization, and we would take it higher. That's what Islamic civilization was all about. Not just about just going there and destroying everything and just saying, well, you know, we don't like you, we're going to kill you or whatever. The Prophet never did that. And if he could have done that, he would have done it in Mecca when they conquered Mecca. Because there were still significant, you know, there were all some pagans there, and what happened was they all accepted Islam. So he could have gone in and go, right, okay, I'm going to kill everyone because you're not Muslim, but he didn't do that. So that's the way of the Prophet, and unfortunately that's a bit that's also a bit lost this time as well. So. Right, so hadith number 9. Ibn Adi reports in Al-Kamil that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu reports the Messenger of Allah said, Man abghadana Ahl Al Bayt fahuwa munafiq. So whoever detests us, the Ahl Al Bayt, is a hypocrite. So this is more or less about the principle, really, that someone shouldn't really detest the family of the Messenger of Allah. It's not a good thing to do. Hadith 10. Ibn Hibban reports in his Sahih collection that Al-Hakim Abu Sa'id Al-Hakim Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu reports that the Messenger of Allah said, La yabkhadana Ahl Al Bayt rajul illa adkhala Allahu an-nar. No man detests the family of the house except Allah enters him into the fire. So that's a bit stronger than the last one. The hadith stronger than the last one, but it's just the same principle, really. So number 11. Al-Tabrani relates that Hassan ibn Ali who said to Muawiyah ibn Khadij, O Muawiyah ibn Khadij, beware of detesting us, because the Messenger of Allah said, La yubghadana ahadan illa wa la yahsadana ahadan illa ديد يوم القيامة على حوض بساطة من النار. Whoever detests us, no one detests us, the family of the house, and no one is envious of us, except he is driven away from the pool on the day of judgment by whips of fire. I mean, this is also just for general believers as well. I mean, so a lot of this just applied to general believers as well. There's a hadith in Muslim where the Prophet ﷺ said, بحسب الشر إماء أن يحقر أخاه مسلم. So it's sufficient evil is it for a person to detest his fellow Muslim. So it's very strong. That is just to test now. Not talking about hurting him or insulting him or not doing anything. Just to detest him, which is just an action of the heart. So even just something as small as an action of the heart has an effect, because that's really where hypocrisy is. Hypocrisy is when you profess something in your tongue but your heart doesn't accept. That's what you call faith. Faith is when it's together. So what you profess in your tongue, it should be on your heart as well. Well, the hypocrisy is when your tongue professes something but your heart doesn't. So Hadith 12. Ibn Adi and Al Bayhaqi and Shu'ab al-Iman reports that Ali radiallahu anhu, the Messenger of Allah said, "Man lam ya'rif haqqa irtati wa ansari fahuwa la ahad thalatha imma manafiq wa imma lizani wa imma لغير الطاهر يعني حملته أمه على غير الطهارة." Whoever does not know the right of my family and the helpers is one of three: either a hypocrite, either a fornicator, or he was not born pure. So, meaning he was not born from a valid marriage. It's a little bit scary, though.
See that you know it says, "Do not know the right of my family."
Yeah.
Could you give a quick summary on what the rights of the family of the Prophet are?
Basically, is to love them, just respect them, try and help them if you can. That's really, if they're doing something, I don't know, to do some charity event, for example, and you can help them, then help them. And if you can't, just give them salam and things, and just try to be nice to them. And it is the same, similar for other believers as well. It's the same for other believers as well. But it's just a little bit special for Ahl Al Bayt, that's why. So just to honour, respect them, just be nice, and love the Ahl Al Bayt because they're part of the family of the Prophet. And if they go against you or they do something against you, you don't return. If they've done something bad, don't return it. Imam Al-Qawi was Ahl Al Bayt himself. He came into a gathering and there was another member of Ahl Al Bayt on the. He was talking, giving a lecture, and he was giving Imam Al-Qawi, basically, he was telling lies basically against him, and he was Ahl Al Bayt and the speaker was Ahl Al Bayt, but out of the respect that Imam Al-Qawi had for Ahl Al Bayt, he didn't say anything. So even though he was in the gathering and he was saying all sorts of things about him, he didn't react or didn't say anything to him. And then when the person who was speaking, the Ahl Al Bayt was speaking, when he saw him, then he got ashamed. And after the gathering, he apologised, and then basically he became one of his best followers, actually. So this shows that it's two ways as well. So Ahl Al Bayt should respect each other, and if that shows you the level of the respect of the awliya, because Muhammad al-Qawi was one of the great awliya of the Shadli Tariqah. And he was showing respect to Ahl Al Bayt because the awliya really understand the respect to Ahl Al Bayt, probably a little bit more than the other believers, maybe, shall we say. So it's an amazing thing, really. Al-Nabahani reports in Al-Awsat from Ibn Umar that the last words of Messenger of Allah said, "Lafuni fi Ahl Al Bayti." Appoint leaders from the family of my house. There's also other reports of what he said before he passed away, which was Salat wa ma malakat aymanakum, which is prayer, and be careful of what your right hands possess, which is females. So be good to females, basically. So he's saying, you pray, and be good to your women. And there's other reports as well and things. So obviously when someone's about to pass away, they're going to obviously explain the most important thing, aren't they? They're going to most explain the most important thing that someone has to bear in mind. And the prayer, obviously, one of them, obviously it's one of the most important things, and obviously being good to women is obviously something that Muslims should do. You have to bear, the way the adab of Rasulullah was that, he didn't even raise his voice to his wives, so never mind anything else. Al-Tabarani reports also that Hassan ibn Ali narrates the Messenger of Allah said, عزموا ومودة أهل البيت فإنه من لقي الله فهو يودنا أن دخل الجنة بشفاعتنا والذي بنفسي بيده لا ينفع عبدا عمله إلا بمعرفة حقنا. It is necessary for us to love the family of the house, because whoever meets Allah whilst wanting to enter paradise by intercession, I swear by Allah, the possessor of my soul, that the servant does not benefit by action except by realizing our rights. So obviously the Prophet ﷺ is going to intercede for us, inshallah, on the Day of Judgment. That's denied by some misguided of the Mu'tazilites. But as far as as we're concerned, inshallah, going to visit the Prophet ﷺ's grave is one of the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever visits me, it's incumbent on me to give them intercession. So that's one of the things. That's one of the many billions of benefits that someone can get from just by visiting Sayyidina Rasulullah's grave. And there's also another collection, about 40 of these, about the intercession by Sheikh Yusuf Al-Nabahani. It's on straight translations as well. So Hadith 15, Al-Tabrani reports also from Jabir ibn Abdullah that he heard the Messenger of Allah say in a sermon, يا أيها الناس من أبغضنا أهل البيت حسر الله يوم القيامة يهوديا. So all people, whoever detests the family of the house, Allah resurrects on the Day of Judgment as a Jew. Yeah, so scary. Al-Tabrani reports from Al-Awsat from Abdullah ibn Jafar, may Allah be pleased with him. He said that I heard the Messenger of Allah said, Ya Bani Hashim, inni qad sa'altu Allah lakum an yaj'al najida wa rahma wa sa'altuhu an yahdi dalakum wa yu'min khaifakum wa yushbi'u جائعكم والذي نفس بيده لا يؤمن أحد حتى بحبي وأرجون أن يدخل الجنة بشفاعتي ولا يرجو بنو عبد المطلب. O tribe of Hashim, I have asked Allah to make you noble and merciful. So it's similar to the other hadith we covered. I ask him to guide your misguided, give safety to your fearful, and feed your hungry. I swear by the possessor of my soul that none of you believe until you love them for my love. Do you hope to enter paradise by my intercession and not for the tribe of Abdul Muttalib? There's also, general principle there of, wanting, if you want some good to come to you, you should also want it for the people as well. It's a bit of a side point, but that's a good point as well. Incidentally, there's about 18 different hadiths about visiting the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. There's some variations, and there's about 18 different hadiths actually. It's a lot. I didn't think there was that many. I thought there was only about 5. But in Sheikh Al-Nabahani pulled out about 18 different hadiths about visiting the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's very important. It's not just a small thing. I think some of our other naughty brothers don't go there. But so Hadith 17. So Ibn Abu Shayba in his Musnad and Hakim Tirmidhi in Nawad al-Rasul. Hakim Tirmidhi is the other one, and there's Abu Isa al-Tirmidhi, and Hakim al-Tirmidhi was, there were similar areas I think, but the other one was different. That's Abu Isa al-Tirmidhi. When you say al-Tirmidhi normally, it's Abu Isa al-Tirmidhi, and he was the other specialist in hadith. And he went blind towards his end of his life, and he'd returned back to his hometown, and he walked past a tree and he ducked, and then someone asked, why have you ducked? I said, because there was a branch here when there was a branch here, and there was no branch because that branch had been cut off, but he remembered from when he was a child, and so he was walking on that same path, but he was blind, and then he ducked, but there was no branch there that there was there when he was a child. So that just shows that, when those guys, those early hadith collectors, they really had quite a strong memorization. So the Rasul said, النجوم أمان لأهل السماء وأهل بيتي أمان لأهل الأمة. So this is also quite a serious hadith as well. So the stars are security for the residents of the heavens, and the people of my house is security for my nation. There's also a few different variations of this, talking about Sahaba as well, the companions, about their security for the people of their time as well. So it's some slight variations. But then after the Sahaba went, it was really the Ahl Al Bayt. The Ahl Al Bayt was always there anyway.
See, what does that mean? The stars are security for the residents of the heaven.
They keep them safe, really. So, like in an area where there's Ahl Al Bayt, for example, Allah might not send a tribulation to an area which is a member of Ahl Al Bayt there. So it's almost like an honour that the Ahl Al Bayt won't get that the people around their area might not get a tribulation that other people might get. And so this is one of the things for people who are Ahl Al Bayt to have, as many kids as possible, really. It's better security for the Ummah.
Would that be the same, like total destructions, like if Ahl Al Bayt are there?
Yeah, could be. I mean, it's open to interpretation a little bit, so it could be, it's just security, so maybe they won't get, wiped out completely, something like that, or it's open to interpretation a little bit. But it just means that, the Ahl Al Bayt they're like a blessing, really, to have in an area. But that doesn't mean they don't get tribulations, because they do get tribulations. The Ahl Al Bayt do get tested quite strongly, actually, with lots of things. And it's generally harder for a person for the Ahl Al Bayt than it is for other people.